Starting this August, Northwest Iowa hunters will face new regulations aimed at saving the region's shrinking deer population. KTIV's Jacqueline Aragon spoke with the Iowa DNR about the changes Siouxlanders need to know before this hunting season.
Come August 15th, Siouxlanders will soon be eligible to purchase a hunting license. And to help preserve the female deer population in the state, the Iowa DNR is making some changes.
We do identify that there's a bit of a crisis going on, and the hunters in that area certainly agree. And so that requires us to create different regulations and therefore a specific zone for 8 counties in Northwest Iowa.
Previously, it was any deer tag for the whole state, but now the 8 counties in yellow will be considered Zone B and have their own regulations as opposed to the rest of the state.
The primary difference is that hunters in Zone B need to be aware that the default general license is going to be antlered buck only rather than any deer.
There will be no party hunting allowed in Zone B, and hunters may purchase up to 2 general deer licenses, including any combination of Zone A or Zone B.
They just need to understand that those tags are going to be zone specific. These changes won't affect youth hunters, disabled hunters, or any of our specialty licenses.
The Iowa DNR says they've been working with hunters in Northwest Iowa, and this was the best way to help the doe deer numbers.
About Northwest Iowa, we're talking about some of the most limited habitat in the state. So there's a fairly low ceiling for deer populations compared to elsewhere in the state. With that being said, we have seen deer numbers drop by likely over 50% compared to 15, 20 years ago.
The decrease in population stems from hemorrhagic disease outbreaks that have occurred in the state over the last 10 years.
And we're talking about EHD and blue tongue, sort of the colloquial terms. And during each of those outbreaks, we can see those population trends shift down.
The Iowa DNR extends its gratitude to hunters in the area and says this will remain in place until they start to see an increase in the deer population. I'm Jacqueline Aragon reporting, KTIV News 4.
Well, before hunters get their tags starting August 15th, the Iowa DNR is hosting a series of meetings next week to help ensure hunters are aware of the changes. Now, the first meeting is going to be Monday, August 3rd in Denison at the Yellow Smoke Park Lookout Shelter. Tuesday, August 4th, a meeting will be held in Hinton at the Dennis L. Sewell Center. Wednesday, August 5th in Sioux Center at the Sandy Hollow Lodge. And Thursday, August 6th, another meeting will take place in Peterson at the Prairie Heritage Center. All of these meetings run from 6 p.m. until 8 p.m.